to the watch and Tyranth. You play video games, don't you?
Yes.
You're a gamer?
Yes.
Would you say you're a fantasy gamer?
What does that mean?
Fantasy.
Like
do you play the fantasy genre? Do you play RPGs?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you played Baldur's Gate?
No.
Why not?
It just doesn't look like my thing.
To
be fair, I haven't really looked that much into it.
I think, much like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, you look at it at first glance and you go, no, I don't want that. But then I think you especially, this is more personal to you, you'll find your thing and you go, oh, okay, I dig that. Yeah. But that's aside. Oh, okay.
I mean, okay, so Nathan has given me a very, very brief rundown of what this game is. And from what you've described, it sounds like literally the opposite of what I would like, so...
I think you just need to find your thing in it. Anyways, don't yuck people's yum, okay? I'm not going to say Baldur's Gate sucks, because personally, it's not my game either.
I have no idea, so hey.
And I feel like going into this video, we're not giving a very good impression of why you should just do our opinions about Baldur's Gate, because we both haven't played it, we both don't want to play it. But it's a topic that's more specific to the gaming genre.
Okay, so we're not going to be talking about Baldur. Well, we'll talk about Baldur's Gate insofar as games and game development. He's a game developer, so he gets...
Baldur's Gate has brought up a topic that gamers and game developers are now talking back and forth about.
Okay.
Which comes from an IGN video article where basically he goes off saying that gamers should be allowed to get mad at other RPGs for not being good as Baldur's Gate.
Okay, well that's an interesting topic that actually gets brought up a lot. Every time a new 10 out of 10 game gets released, game developers preemptively, nobody even says anything. They just shout out into the wind. Not every game can be that. Not every game can be Elden Ring. Not every game can be God of War. So, okay, yep, I'm on board. I know what we're talking about.
And basically, there's a few things he said in the video which is fair enough. As a consumer and a gamer, you should be able to call out. He gives examples of like Diablo 4 and how every time you go to the main menu screen they say, hey, you want to buy some DLC? You want to buy some skins for your characters? And how that is bad for the game. And talks about Mass Effect, the last Mass Effect game that came out and was not a good RPG. And he talks about, things like Elden Ring. There were some other games he mentioned as well. Tears of the Kingdom, these other really good RPGs. And basically, I think it's a big miscommunication on developers and gamers' parts. You see, we've had a history of not being able to talk very well to each other. The issue I've had here is basically what developers are trying to say is that there's a scale of this game. Baldur's Gate took 6 years to make.
Right.
And what developers are saying is basically, don't expect us to spend 6 years on a game to make this thing massive and big. Don't expect us to have, for example, Baldur's Gate had these amazing branching story systems, multiple choice adventure, character customization, which is like through the roof. You can make whoever you want with whatever you want and explore the world and all this crazy stuff. And basically what developers are saying is, please don't expect every single RPG you play to have as good of a story or as good as a customization or maybe always run as smoothly as Baldur's Gate has.
Okay, so I'm going to say maybe something ignorant, I don't know here. But let's talk about video production, for example.
Okay.
So we obviously make so many videos, but when we make a video, right, how much effort would you say it takes to make like a good video versus a great video? I would say not that much more. It takes us just a little bit extra to do that. What's the difference between like a game though?
It can take a lot more.
A lot more, because I'm just going to take a shot in the dark here. Let's say you finish your game, and it's a great game. How much extra does it take it from a great game to like an amazing game?
Again, it depends. This is one of those things I have to say, it depends, right? So if you have a little indie game that all you want to do is walk around and shoot aliens or whatever, as long as you have those shooting aliens and that's good, you don't need to work on, Minecraft, for example, back in the day. It had its core systems, people loved it, people still love it. You don't need to have, amazing subsystems or graphics or whatever. Right. As long as the good parts of the game are good, people are happy.
Yep. Gameplay is important. Yep.
Gameplay is important. And so, for example, some game developers, like for myself, I could spend 6 weeks polishing something to make it feel a bit better for you because that's what you like, or I could not spend that 6 weeks and give you something that is workable. It's still fine. It just isn't as polished as, Elden Ring or for something.
Right. But I think games are such a... Like making a movie, there's such a large undertaking. If you're going to already take such a large undertaking, why not just take it a little bit further to make it a little bit better? That's just how I view it, though.
Yes, but then you also got to compare between AAA, because this is where most comments are coming from, is AAA. Because Baldur's Gate, although it was kind of independent, not really, it's AAA studios saying, don't expect this from us.
That's ridiculous, though.
I see where they're coming from, and it's something you'll probably agree with. It's the bloat. Big company bloat.
Yes.
That's one of the biggest issues with bigger companies and bigger game studios is how much bloat they have.
Yes, but I would argue, and I'm very firm on this, that it comes down to the talent of the people you have doing whatever it is. Like if they're making a game, movie, whatever it is, how talented those people are is going to show in the final product. So when you have AAA companies with millions and millions of dollars, and maybe not 6 years, but 3 years with twice the amount of staff and 3 times the budget, I'm sorry, it's not unreasonable to expect that level of quality for a game.
Yes, but you must also realize that not every person in the world is an A-class game developer. Those bigger companies are hiring people who are subpar, and as well, with the criticisms they had with Baldur's Gate and compared to other games, things like DLC, microtransactions, poor performance, stuff like that, gamers can get publishers and developers mixed up so easily. Like people hate EA. They'll call it EA all the time.
I hate EA.
Yeah, but EA isn't Crysis or Crytek, because EA used to own Crytek.
Right.
And so when you say, oh, EA sucks, you're not saying Crytek sucks, because they made Crysis and those games are pretty good.
Yeah,
and so,
I say EA sucks because I hate their launcher, which is squarely on EA. So I hate EA.
And so,
I'm going to be clear about that.
As well with developers, right, they get paid at the end of the day. Like that's kind of their thing. They don't... Unless you're like a big senior person who's been, talking with other publishers and stuff, and you basically have a contract to say, okay, if this game makes this X amount of sales, you get this much return. Most developers, you might get some stock sales, but most of it's just salary based. So they get paid what they get paid.
Yep.
The people who are incorporating microtransactions, paid DLC, all the other stuff are the publishers, the guys who want to make more money, the ones who are more business orientated.
Perhaps.
But
at the same time, the entire industry has shifted. Like, who do you think first created things like DLC? Who do you think created Horse Armor?
That was Skyrim. That was Bethesda.
Yeah. But like, it hasn't always been execs, and I think, look, I'm sure there's a lot of game developer out there with hearts of gold, but at the same time, the more that a game makes, the more you can get paid for it. You know, when you work on these, like we're going to be realistic here, Nathan.
Or I'm also saying that, like, a lot of the time, it depends on the studios as well. But, like, the reason why Baldur's Gate didn't have any DLC out the gate is because, one, they knew that they were going to make the sales for it because they knew that there's this niche in the market, and they knew that was going to hurt their brand image, which then for example, there's so many different ideas in my head when we talk about games, so there's a bajillion things.
He doesn't get to talk about this.
I don't get to talk about this much. Brand image is really important to developers because, for example...
Is it though? I have to argue this because Ubisoft, Rockstar, EA, like, people don't like them very much.
Really? They don't like Rockstar?
No. Rockstar's trash. GTA Online 5, trash.
Really?
Yeah. Porting over Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, that was pretty scummy,
GTA Definitive Edition, taking off all the good ones for like $7, then re-uploading the buggy mess to Steam. I'm a gamer here.
I lost my point. But anyways, okay, for Baldur's Gate, it would be a smart decision to not have DLC included because it gives them a better brand image, which in turn would make them a bigger pot to buy if someone was to buy them out.
Right.
The reason why, and I learned this a little while ago, the reason why there's a Call of Duty game every single year is to build up a catalog so that Activision Blizzard, when they get acquired by Microsoft, costs 15 billion rather than 5 billion because they've got a bigger franchise.
Right.
And so I think the reason why they didn't add DLC is because one, they knew their audience, DLC isn't where they're going to get their money from.
Yeah.
And two, it would help them in the future if they were to get bought out or do something that they actually, they have this greater value of things. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't complain about these sort of business practices, because I agree.
I'm going to say something in the darkie, because I don't know much about Baldur's Gate. I'm going to be honest here. I haven't really looked into it that much. Just doesn't seem like my type of game. Why wouldn't the core, like the target audience want DLC? Because DLC doesn't necessarily mean something bad. Like DLC for Elden Ring's coming out, and I'm pumped for that.
I'll be honest. Well, I think with them, they mean more like microtransactions.
Oh, right.
So buying for like armor, those the horse armor
those
DLC
are different
type
things.
stuff.
Yeah, okay.
Microtransactions more specifically rather than DLC.
Yeah.
I think they actually probably could have gotten away with it because how much people love the game. And if you don't put it in their face, like how they... That's the thing too, right? I think there is times where like, I've been playing Team Fortress 2 and I actually spent money in the game because, well, one, it's free, but two, because I'm like, I want this hat's cool, doesn't, ruin my game experience, and, I want to buy that hat. Same with Destiny. Like, people complain about, skins being $20, but I've got friends who have like profile, like it's just part of you enjoying your game.
Yeah.
Some people prefer to buy, the game for $20. Others prefer to spend, $5, $6 occasionally and then build that up over time.
I don't like microtransactions because it's one of those things where you have to kind of trust the industry to regulate itself, which it doesn't. So that's why I hate them.
Yeah.
But in like I'm not against it. If you have a game and you want to get some custom skin for a couple of bucks, it's like, yeah, sure, why not? Especially like on an MMO or something like that. Like, hey, yeah, sure. It's usually just companies that are taking it too far. Like, we go back to like EA or something, where they release like Battlefront 2 or whatever, and they make the loot boxes or FIFA or whatever it is, I can't remember the exact one, like integral to the game. Yeah. That's when it's like, okay, this is not okay. This is not okay.
And see, it's funny, you can really see a clear difference between business developers who are doing things like loot, like they now have to be regulated by governments because they're saying this is gambling in games. Now it's illegal, like in the EU and stuff. When you work in AAA as well, you got to think of this is the reason why I don't want to work in AAA ever in my life, is because of the layers and politicalness, not in terms of like actual politicalness, but like if you want to feature in the game that you're working on, you got to go through 6 different people to get that to work. And so I think there's a struggle, and the reason why developers say this is because they're just trying to help you understand and like lower your expectations, because they've been burnt before of like, over-promising things.
Yeah. But it's also ridiculous how every time like a really good game comes out, these developers just scream, before everybody even said anything, they just scream, we can't do this, we don't expect this from us. And it's like, you obviously know that like, it's going to make you look bad when an indie or someone like FromSoft, which is a tiny studio, like makes everybody else look bad by producing quality.
Funny as well, I think people who definitely do that the most are a bit more left-leaning and a bit more sensitive to their opinions, and like when they see...
I always thought it was just like the bigger companies. Like it's like developers at Ubisoft and EA just
but those
preemptively do it.
Yes, but those are individuals doing it, and look at the profile, you go, oh, okay, you're a bit of a snowflake. Where like other developers, the good ones, either shut up or they usually like the stuff. Yeah. They usually say, I'm playing it, it's cool, I want to incorporate this. But the other thing too, right, is that... I know I'm worried for this. We're going to start getting like 6 or 7 Baldur Gate lights in the next 10 years.
Like copycats,
and so I've
got nothing wrong with copycats, in a general sense.
Yes.
As long as they're good.
If they're good, that's fine.
Usually they're bad.
But I don't think they're going to be good. But my main thing with this here is just that, like, I think what they're trying to do is lower expectations. The way that they've done it hasn't always been great. Like, for example, Elden Ring, people had issues with its UI. And then it was funny because the people who were saying that were the ones who worked at Ubisoft in Assassin's Creed, and it's just all awful. And so I think the developers who are speaking out aren't very good at communicating. The game is obviously, other consumers and just kind of, they have this expectation of, you should give us what you want. But again, the game developers are like, well, I can't give this to you. And there's just this element of frustration.
Right.
I think I got most of my points out. I don't know how much of that you actually understood or got or sympathized with game developers, because I honestly think game developers should be able to just go and make their dream game. I don't think that they should be encapsulated into making the next Assassin's Creed that's just the same as the one beforehand. And I think if they had more of the ability to go out and make cool games that they wanted to make, we'd have more games like Baldur's Gate, but in different genres and styles and games like that. I just think maybe a few of those developers who are saying, oh, we can't make Baldur's Gate, are a bit salty because they aren't in that position to actually make what they want to make.
Right. Well, I don't have anything to add there because I'm not a game developer. You're a game developer, so I think you're speaking from the heart right then. Thank you for that, Nathan.
Yes.
But I think that's everything for today's video. I hope you enjoyed.
Also, is Baldur's Gate woke? I don't know.
I don't know.
Leave us in comments.
Let us know.
Let us know. Should we play Baldur's Gate?
But thanks for watching, guys. We hope you enjoyed. And as always, stay on watch.